Lack of confidence and too much effort is the reason you do not get an answer to your prayer. Many people block answers to their prayers by failing to fully comprehend the workings of the subconscious mind. When you know how your mind functions, you gain a measure of confidence. You must remember, whenever your subconscious mind accepts an idea, it immediately begins to execute it. It uses all its mighty resources to that end and mobilizes all the mental and spiritual laws of your deeper mind. This law is true for good or bad ideas. Consequently, if you use it negatively, it brings trouble, failure, and confusion. When you use it constructively, it brings guidance, freedom, and peace of mind. The right answer is inevitable when your thoughts are constructive, when you're in tune with the infinite, and when you have love and goodwill to all. From this, it is perfectly obvious that the only thing you have to do in order to overcome failure is to get your subconscious to accept your idea or request by feeling its reality now. And the law of your mind will do the rest. Turn over your request with faith and confidence, and your subconscious will take over, and the answer will come. You will always fail to get results by trying to use mental coercion or force. Say, I tried so hard. Your subconscious mind does not respond to coercion. It responds to your faith or conscious mind acceptance. Your failure to get results may also arise from such statements as, things are getting worse. I will never get an answer. I see no way out. It is hopeless. I don't know what to do. I'm all mixed up. When you use such statements, you get no response or cooperation from your subconscious mind. You're like a soldier marking time. You neither go forward nor backward. In other words, you don't get anywhere. If you get into a taxi and give a half a dozen different directions to the driver in 5 minutes, he would be completely and hopelessly confused and probably will refuse to take you anywhere. It is the same when working with your deeper mind. There must be a clear-cut idea in your mind. You must arrive at the definite decision that there is a way out, a solution to the vexing problem in sickness, lack, or limitation. Only the infinite intelligence within your subconscious knows the answer. When you come to that clear-cut conclusion in your conscious mind, your mind is then made up, and according to your belief is it done unto you. A house owner once remonstrated with a furnace repairman for charging $200 for fixing the boiler. The mechanic said, I charge 5 cents for the missing bolt and $199.95 for knowing what was wrong. Similarly, your subconscious mind is the master mechanic, the all-wise one, who knows ways and means of healing any organ of your body as well as your affairs. Decree health, and your subconscious will establish it, but relaxation is the key. Let go. Let the God presence handle it. Easy does it. There's only one healing presence. It made you from a cell. It knows all the processes and functions of your body. Relax, let go, and realize this almighty healing power is flowing through you now. Do not be concerned with details and means, but know the end result. Get the feel of the happy solution to your problem, whether it is health, finances, or employment. Remember how you felt after you had recovered from a severe state of illness. Bear in mind that your feeling is the touchstone of all subconscious demonstration. Your new idea must be felt subjectively in a finished state, not the future, but as coming about now, for you always pray in the now. In using your subconscious mind, you infer no opponent, you use no willpower. You imagine the end and the freedom state. You will find your intellect trying to get in the way, but persist in maintaining a simple, childlike, miracle-making faith. Picture yourself without the ailment or the problem. Imagine the emotional accompaniment of the freedom state you crave. Cut out all red tape from the process. The simple way is the best. Coué, the famous psychologist from France who visited America about 50 years ago, defined the law of reversed effort as follows. When your desire and imagination are in conflict, your imagination invariably gains the day. If, for example, you were asked to walk a plank on the floor, you would do so without question. Now suppose the same plank were placed 20 feet up in the air between two walls. Would you walk it? Your desire to walk it would be counteracted by your imagination or fear of falling. Your dominant idea, which would be the picture of falling, would conquer. Your desire, will, or effort to walk on the plank would be reversed, and the dominant idea of failure would be reinforced. Your subconscious mind accepts the dominant of two ideas. Mental effort is invariably self-defeated, eventuating always in the opposite of what is desired. The suggestions of powerlessness to overcome the condition dominate the mind. Your subconscious is always controlled by the dominant idea. Your subconscious will accept the strongest of two contradictory propositions. The effortless way is the better. If you say, I want a healing, but I can't get it. I try so hard. I force myself to pray. I use all the willpower I have. You must realize that your error lies in your effort. Never try to compel the subconscious mind to accept your idea by exercising willpower. Such attempts are doomed to failure, and you get the opposite of what you prayed for. The following is a rather common experience. Students, when taking examinations and reading through their papers, find that all their knowledge has suddenly deserted them. Their minds become appalling blanks, and they are unable to recall one relevant thought. The more they grit their teeth and summon the powers of the will, the further the answers seem to flee. But when they have left the examination room and the mental pressure relaxes, the answers they were seeking flow tantalizingly back into their minds. Trying to force themselves to remember was the cause of the failure. This is an example of the law of reversed effort, whereby you get the opposite of what you asked or prayed for. I tell students, take the simple examination or simple question first, answer it. There are always one or two simple questions, easy ones. Then you're relaxed, and your mind is in a passive psychic receptive state, and the memory and the wisdom of the subconscious rises to the conscious mind when the conscious mind is relaxed. To use mental force is to presuppose there is opposition. How could you add power to omnipotence? When your mind is concentrated on the means to overcome a problem, it is no longer concerned with the obstacle. In the book of Matthew it says, if two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. Well, the Father in heaven means, of course, heaven is your invisible intelligence in which we live and move and have our being, and the Father of all is your thought and feeling. And your thought and feeling control your destiny. Who are these two? It simply means a harmonious union or agreement between your conscious and subconscious mind on any idea, desire, or mental image. The brain and the heart must unite, you know. The male and the female must fuse together for an answer to come. When there is no longer any quarrel in either part of your mind, your prayer will be answered. The two agreeing may also be represented as you and your desire, your thought and feeling, your idea and emotion, your desire and imagination. To avoid all conflict between your desire and imagination, enter into a drowsy, sleepy state which brings all effort to a minimum. The conscious mind is submerged to a great extent when in a sleepy, drowsy state. The best time to impregnate your subconscious is prior to sleep. The reason for this is that the highest degree of outcropping of the subconscious occurs prior to sleep and just after we awaken. In this state, the negative thoughts and imagery, which tend to neutralize your desire and so prevent acceptance by your subconscious mind, no longer present themselves. When you imagine the reality of the fulfilled desire and feel the thrill of accomplishment, your subconscious brings about the realization of your desire. A great many people solve all their dilemmas and problems by the play of their controlled, directed, and disciplined imagination. knowing that whatever they imagine and feel to be true will come to pass in ways they know not of. The wonders of your deeper mind should be known by everybody. The following will clearly illustrate how a young girl overcame the conflict between her desire and imagination. She desired a harmonious solution to her legal problem, yet her mental imagery was constantly on failure, loss, bankruptcy, and poverty. It was a complicated lawsuit. There was one postponement after another with no solution in sight. At my suggestion, she got into a sleepy, drowsy state each night prior to sleep, and she began to imagine the happy ending, feeling it to the best of her ability. She affirmed the infinite law of justice, truth, love, and harmony. That law is operating perfectly in the minds and hearts of all involved. The truth and the justice of God reign supreme in the minds and hearts of all involved. It is God in action, which means all-around harmony and peace. And then she realized that the thing to do was to contemplate the happy ending. She knew that the image in her mind had to agree with her heart's desire. Prior to sleep, she began to dramatize as vividly as possible, her attorney having an animated discussion with her regarding the outcome. She would ask questions, and he would answer her appropriately. He would say to her over and over again, there has been a perfect, harmonious solution, which is what they wanted. Then he said to her, the case has been settled out of court. All this in her mind. During the day, when fear thoughts came to her in her mind, she would run her mental movie with gestures, voice, and sound equipment. She could easily imagine the sound of his voice, smile, and mannerism. She ran this mental picture so often, it became a subjective pattern, a regular train track. At the end of a few weeks, her attorney called her and confirmed objectively what she had been imagining and feeling as true subjectively. She continued to know that the harmony and the justice of God reigned supreme in the minds and hearts of all. Then she imagined her attorney telling her there was a happy ending, there was a harmonious solution. This is really what the psalmist meant when he wrote, let the words of my mouth, that is your thoughts, mental images, and the meditations of your heart, your feeling nature, your emotion, be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, the law of your subconscious mind, my strength and my Redeemer. The power and wisdom of your deeper mind can redeem you from sickness, bondage, and misery. Nicholas Tesla was a brilliant electrical scientist who brought forth the most amazing innovations. When an idea for a new invention came into his mind, he would build it up in his imagination, knowing that his subconscious mind would reconstruct and reveal to his conscious mind all the parts needed for its manufacture in concrete form. He decided to relax and let go. He turned it over to the deeper mind and said, this infinite intelligence gave me this idea, and it fulfills all the parts for me in divine order. Through quietly contemplating every possible improvement, he spent no time in correcting defects and was able to give the technicians the perfect product of his mind. He said, invariably, my device works as I imagined it should. In 20 years, there has not been a single exception. To show you about the power of letting go and let this supreme intelligence solve it for you. Famous chemist Frederick von Stradonich, Kekuli, used his subconscious mind to solve his problem as follows. He had been working laboriously for a long time, trying to rearrange the 6 carbon and the 6 hydrogen atoms of the benzene formula. He was constantly perplexed and unable to solve the matter. Tired and exhausted, he turned the request over completely to his deeper mind, full of faith and confidence. Shortly afterward, as he was about to board a London bus, his subconscious presented his conscious mind with a sudden flash of a snake biting its own tail and turning around like a pinwheel. This answer from his subconscious mind gave him the long-sought answer of the circular rearrangement of the atoms that is known as the benzene ring. So easy does it. Yes, you try and solve it with your conscious reasoning mind. You gather all the data, gather all the facts, and do everything that you're supposed to do objectively. Then oftentimes you come up against a stone wall. That's the time to let go, surrender, relax, and turn it over to the deeper mind, which knows all and sees all, and which has the know-how of accomplishment. And these are the wonders of your deeper mind. I talked to a man some time ago who told me that he'd been treated shabbily, how he planned to get even, how hateful he was toward his former employer. This man had ulcers of the stomach as a result of his inner turmoil and irritation. I explained to him that he had been making very destructive impressions of anger and resentment on his subconscious mind, which always expresses what is impressed upon it. His ex-boss had nothing at all to do with it, because he was the only thinker in his universe, and he's responsible for the way he thinks. He began to see that. These destructive emotions must have an outlet, and they came forth as ulcers, neurosis in his case. Now he reversed his mental processes by releasing his former employer into the boundless ocean of divine love, wishing for him all the blessings of heaven. At the same time, he filled his mind with the truths of God by identifying himself with the infinite healing presence, realizing that harmony, peace, and the perfection of the infinite one were saturating his mind and body, making him every whit whole. These spiritual vibrations, permeating his mind, were transmitted through his entire system, and the cells of his body took on a new spiritual overtone, resulting in a healing of the discordant condition. It isn't the other person. Remember, the other person has no power over you. The other person may make certain suggestions to you, but you can reject these suggestions. There's an old saying, an old aphorism: each time the sheep bleats, it loses a mouthful of hay. That's, of course, true, isn't it? Cease whining, complaining, and whimpering, and then you realize then that you're one with the infinite, that no one has the power to disturb you, that actually you're disturbing yourself. The suggestions and statements of others have no power to disturb you, except you accept them. Then it's a movement of your own mind. So are you going to say to me, the other person is controlling my mind, manipulating me? The other person is telling me what to think and do. No, you're the master. You don't want somebody else manipulating and controlling your mind. The other person has no power. Stop giving power to other people. The power is within you. It's the infinite power. And when you think God's thoughts, God's power is with your thoughts of good. Realizing you're one with the invincible, one with the eternal one with God as a majority, and if God be for you, who can be against you? Then you're in control, aren't you? You're in control of your own thoughts, your own mind, your emotions. If someone can get you angry and upset, bringing about an inner turmoil, then, of course, they have power over you, because you're highly suggestible. You're governed by a negative emotion created by yourself, and whatever you do would be wrong under the sway of a negative, destructive emotion. I heard a woman the other day. She was complaining about all the evils in the world of society: crime and rape and mugging and robbery and dope addiction, malfeasance in high places and all this sort of thing. And yes, she had certain ideals and all that. And I said to her, "Judge not, lest ye be judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and the measure you mete shall be measured unto you." So why are you? Who appointed you? Did the infinite appoint you as judge over people? No, you're appointed judge over your own life, because your judgment is the conclusion in your own mind, is your own thought, your own feeling. It's the verdict in your own mind, and whatever you think about another, you are creating in your own mind and body and circumstances. She didn't know that. She didn't know what she was doing to herself. Actually, she was poisoning herself. I said, you have to watch. your resentment, your hatred, your disdain and contempt, because you're the thinker. And therefore, these negative, destructive emotions pollute the sanctuary of God, which is your own soul. And they're brought on. What have they brought on in your case? Ulcers and high blood pressure and skin rashes, costing you a lot of money going to dermatologists and all that sort of thing. So I said, each time the sheep bleats, it loses a mouthful of hay. Each time you're speaking that way, you're losing energy and vitality and enthusiasm and good discernment and losing health too. And I said, permit people to be what they are. Permit your relatives to have their peculiarities, abnormalities, eccentricities, and and their particular religious beliefs. Permit them to be what they want to be, according to their beliefs. If someone wants to believe in Satan or a devil or evil entities or something, permit him to do so. That has nothing to do with you. You can't change him. You can't make him believe something he doesn't want to believe. So you're told in the Bible, let the filthy be filthy still, let the holy be holy still. Let people have their religious beliefs, their taboos and their strictures and their homilies and all that. And you can still have goodwill to them if you go home and your father believes that there's a punitive God up in the sky, or he believes there are evil spirits or in a hell. Permit him to believe in it. It doesn't disturb you. Give him his freedom to believe in it. And give the person freedom to be a Catholic or a Jew or a Hindu or a Protestant or an atheist or agnostic. Give him his freedom. How could that disturb you? You're here to praise, to exalt God in the midst of you. You're here to go to sleep every night with the praise of God forever on your lips. For in quietness and in confidence lie your strength. When your mind is full of peace and harmony, when you're walking in the consciousness of God's love and God's light and God's truth, all people who walk this earth are blessed because you walk this way. Why? Because you're radiating the sunshine of God's love. You're exuding vibrancy and goodwill. The plants and the animals and all people are benefited. If you go into a hospital to visit a sick person, would you want to go in there full of inner turmoil, agitated, over-exercised and burning up and seething, a seething cauldron? No, you wouldn't. You'd be doing harm to the person. You'd have the decency to stay away. If you went in, you'd say, well, now, I should have a quiet mind, a peaceful mind. I should be full of faith in God and the healing power of God. And I can give that person a transfusion of faith and of love and of God's Spirit. And I can lift that person up. And I can tell that person about the infinite healing presence which made him or her from a cell. And that with God all things are possible. I can tell the person that how he can picture himself home doing what he loves to do. And really you can give a marvelous spiritual transfusion of grace, of love, of faith, of confidence and power. And now, the quiet mind gets things done. In quietness and in confidence lie your strength, not in getting agitated and perturbed and becoming a seething cauldron over the conditions in the world. You can't change the world, but you can change yourself. You may disapprove of what people do. Certainly people disapprove of mugging and raping and murder and all this sort of thing. You do the best you can. You write to your senators and congressmen. You participate in voting. And you cooperate with police and you do all the things. But the main thing is keep your own mind quiet. Keep it in tune with the infinite. Because agitation, turmoil, resentment, hatred, and anger, these solve no problems. They only make matters worse. You're pouring out more toxins, more effluvia on the mass mind. You're doing more harm than good. You can disapprove, yes. Who doesn't? You can do it dispassionately. It isn't the question is, I'm not interested in the world, or things of that nature. No. You are interested in the world. You're in the world, but you're not of it. You don't participate in the negativity of the world. You walk in the consciousness of God's love. Man is furious agitated. He said he turned livid with rage because he read a column in the Times, some morning newspaper, and it made him see red, he said, that he'd like to strangle the columnist. Well, this is all nonsense, because the newspaper is simply a piece of paper with some ink on it, some printing. It's harmless. It has no power to disturb you. So I explained to him as that's a piece of paper. It has no power to disturb you or give you indigestion or high blood pressure. If you get very, very angry, you can get a stroke. Rage can bring on a stroke. And so can anger at a very high level. These are dangerous things to do. You certainly don't solve the problems of the world that way. So I said the columnist has a perfect right to write that. That's what he believes. But I said, you have a perfect right to disagree with him. You can also write an article to the newspaper pointing out what you believe. You can do that dispassionately, without hatred, resentment, anger, or sense of vengeance, or things of that nature, because then you're only poisoning yourself. And it's a movement of your own mind. The columnist wasn't responsible. I said the columnist doesn't determine your health, or your happiness, or your sickness, or your peace of mind, or your prosperity, does he? He said, no, of course not. I said, you're in charge of your own mind. You're your own boss. All things are under your feet. And you're going to let the columnist hypnotize you and mesmerize you the rest of the day? So he gradually woke up, So it isn't a question of indifference to the world, no. But it's keeping your poise, your balance, your equilibrium, your serenity. And then you're in control. For, as the army says, easy does it. And the quiet mind gets things done. Did you ever see a mind in turmoil getting anything done that is right? No. It's all right to be exercised, all right over crime and rape and robbery and vandalism and the frightful welfare system and things of that nature. Do the best you can to change conditions, because the government is simply a representation of the people, whether it's a local government, a state, or national. It's a representation of the consciousness of 200 million people. Therefore, if we want to change our government, we have to change ourselves. And because the government we have is a representation of the consciousness of 200 million people. So, be transformed by the renewal of your mind, and prove that which is the perfect and acceptable will of God. But if a man has a bitter heart, and he's full of hate towards people, despising them, looking down on them with contempt, he's unfit to change anything, because he's suffering from an inner turmoil. He that is slow to wrath is greater than the mighty, and he controlleth the spirit is greater than he that taketh the city. And your spirit or your emotions, you're supposed to control them. So a man who's suffering from inner turmoil, he's no help to anyone. He's a poor companion, a poor father, a poor co-worker. The degree of success in handling affairs of the world is directly proportionate to your tranquility, your serenity, your peace of mind, your sense of poise and balance, your sense of inner insight, and also your realization that there is an infinite intelligence within you that guides and directs and reveals to you the perfect plan and shows you the way you should go. So a doctor, when he goes into an operation, has to have equanimity, doesn't he? And serenity. He can impart it to the patient, can't he? But if he goes in shaking with anger, with turmoil, he frighten the life out of the patient. So inner explosions are not the answer. Cease your complaint, and you're not hurt, Marcus Aurelius said 2,000 years ago, because the spirit in you can't be hurt, can't be wounded, swords pierce it not, and fire burns it not, and wind blows it not away. Knowing these things to be true, it says, why grievest thou for it? So there is this wonderful presence and power within you that can't be hurt. That's your true identity, the living Spirit Almighty. And who shall hurt you, you're told, if you're a follower of that which is good? No evil shall befall the just, or no plague shall come nigh thy dwelling. No good thing shall be withheld from him who walks uprightly in the law. Angels shall watch over you, they'll bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. When he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? That's a magnificent truth. When God giveth you quietness, when you tune in on the God of peace and say, his river of peace flows through me, when he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble for you? A woman said to me some time ago, I'm so furious, I'm so mad, I could kill Mary. It seems Mary had spread lies about her and had also tried to undermine her in the position she held. And the woman permitted Mary to disturb her. In other words, she gave power to Mary which Mary did not possess. Who controls your mind? You control it. You're the thinker. Are you going to let the other person control you, manipulate you? No. You're in control. So I explained to her, I said, the trouble is in your own thought life. A lie has short legs. You know the truth of being. How could it hurt you, except you permit it to hurt you? Mary was not responsible for the way she was thinking about her. She realized suddenly that the whole trouble was in her own mental imagery and thought patterns. She let fear run riot in her own mind. And fear is a thought in your own mind, created by yourself, you know. And this fear thought was browbeating, intimidating, bullying, and frightening her. The whole process being one of her own creation. The other person has no power. The power is in you. God indwells you, walks and talks in you. When another person says something negative to you, you can reject it. You don't have to accept it. If you accept it, then it's a movement of your own thought. And that which I greatly feared has come upon me, Job said. This young lady had good common sense, and she began to vent her spleen on the bacteria of fear, hatred, and resentment in her mind, casting out these mental poisons and neutralizing the toxic effects with right thinking and right feeling. She placed the divine presence back on the throne of her mind, saying to herself, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod, thy power, and thy staff, thy authority are with me. Where God is, there can be no evil, and as she saturated her mind with the simple truth, God is the living Spirit Almighty within you. It's the only creative power there is. It's the one power. There are not two powers or three or 1,000, just one. And how do you use that power? When you use it constructively, men call it God and Allah Brahma. When you use it negatively, destructively, or ignorantly, then you call it pain and misery and devil and hell and all these other words. They're just a lot of words. There's only one power, one creative power. Your thought is creative. Therefore, if you think good, good will follow. If you think evil, evil will follow. If you think lack, lack will follow. If you think of God's riches, riches will follow. Your thought is creative. That's the only immaterial power you know. And that's God, too, in a certain sense. For the Word was God. The Word was creative. There's only one creative power. So, as she saturated her mind, she said, God is, His presence fills my soul and rules my life. And divine love saturates my whole being, and when love comes in, all ill will vanished away. Two unlike things repel each other, you know. The lower is subject to the higher. She positively refused to let some other woman give her migraine, indigestion, insomnia, and the jitters. It's the quickest way in the world to get old and wrinkled, you know, is to be resentful or bitter or hostile. No one has the power to disturb you. The power is in your own thought life. You are the one to determine how your thought moves. Good and evil are the movements of your own mind. They're in your motivation. Nothing evil about laser beam or nuclear energy or anything. How do you use them? Do not permit thieves of fear, resentment, and inadequacy to restrict, bind, and hold you in the chains of bondage. The world we see is really the world we are. We see it through the mental pictures and convictions of our deeper mind. We color everything by our inner beliefs and convictions. Man projects his feelings, prejudices, and animosities onto people, and he forms a twisted, distorted picture of everything. Yes, we're here to participate in life, in business, and the government should be on your shoulders, the government of divine ideas, mothered by divine love. Imagine a government in Sacramento governed by thugs and murderers and gangsters, You wouldn't have it, would you? Well, what about the gangsters in our own mind? We're governed by divine ideas, at least we should be. But if you're governed by resentment and anger and fear, it's a frightful government. And what kind of a result will you have from a government like that? Let your government be a government of divine ideas, mothered by divine love. That's the government of the free. That's the only government in the world that can guarantee you peace and health and happiness, success, security. No ukase from Washington or Moscow or any part of the world can guarantee you anything. You give these things to yourself. No government can guarantee you peace or health or love or anything. The government can't give you anything. It has to first take it away from you. Yes, you're in control. You can look at the world objectively and emotionally. And what the other person writes, the newscaster, shouldn't disturb you. You say, I don't agree with him. I think everything he says is false. That's your attitude of mind, but you don't let him say, look, you're suffering from insomnia. You better have these tablets tonight. Are you going to run out and get some tablets because he said you may have trouble sleeping? Then you're hypnotized and mesmerized. You can say, look, I sleep in peace. I wake in joy. He has no power to make you buy sleeping tablets. So what governs you? Your estimate, your blueprint, your belief, or is it the other person's belief about you? If someone says to you, well, you're a failure, you'll never amount to anything, what would you do? You'd say, well, I'm born to win, succeed, I must succeed, the infinite can't fail, and one with God is a majority, and I'm going to succeed in a remarkable, unique way, for the power of the Almighty flows through me. Every time that person says you're going to fail is a stimulus to you to reinforce your faith in an almighty power which never fails. In other words, we have to wake up and stop blaming people. Stop blaming conditions. No one to blame but myself. Realize there's one creative power. That power is in you. The other person doesn't control you, and the power isn't in the other person to manipulate you except you permit it. Is your mother-in-law or father-in-law or some other in-law or outlaw or somebody governing your mind? Are you governing your own mind? Do you pray in the morning and saturate your mind with eternal truths? Do you say, God is my guide, my boss, my way-shower, my counselor, the source of my supply? My expectation is from him who giveth to all life, breath, and all things. So realize the creative power is in you. You're not subject to the other person's thought. Respect your own thought. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word is the thought expressed. It was God, meaning it's creative. It's divine. You're told in the Bible against an Israelite that even a dog can lift a stone. An Israelite is not a race of people, it's simply any man or woman who realize the God present, the living Spirit Almighty is God, and realize it's sovereign and supreme, and that your thought is sovereign. You recognize the sovereignty of the Spirit and the regnancy of your thought. Then you're called an Israelite. The thought about you has no power until it becomes your thought until you accept it. So therefore be sure that you wish for everyone what you wish for yourself. And you wish for them health and happiness and peace while you're the thinker. And if you wish for them anything else, you're wishing it for yourself. Ask yourself, would I like to live with what I'm thinking and wishing for the other person? If the answer is yes, the road to you for you is health and happiness. Paul says, none of these things moves me. This doesn't mean that you're cold or callous at all, or indifferent. No. You understand. To understand all is to forgive all. You don't, as Marcus Aurelius said, where there's no opinion, there's no suffering. Where there's no judgment, there's no pain. If the cucumber is bitter, he said, don't eat it in the Marcus Aurelius Meditations. And where there are briars or brambles on the road, avoid them. Let your opinion lie still. Therefore surely there's crime in the world. There's war down through the ages, ever since man, as far back as we can go. Ever since man walked the earth, we've had greed and avarice and hate and all that sort of thing. We've had war, we've had love too. We've had great sacrifices. We've had great men who contributed to the world too. So you're not here to suffer. You're here to release the imprisoned splendor that is within. Suffering is ignorance. All suffering is ignorance. You suffer until you awaken to the truth of being and say, look, what's the cause? You say to yourself, I am the cause. And then you begin to change. And you begin to identify with the eternal truths of God.